We're going to record right now. Welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Stories, where we get to interview authors from all over the world. As you guys know, I'm a major capitalist. I think capitalism is the way to freedom for the masses. And we have an expert here. It seems like he has written, I think you said 23 books. So a very versatile individual. He wrote a book. He's a part of it. It's called Conscious Capitalism Field Guide. And it's an honor to have you here, Thomas Eckschmidt.
Thank you so much for having me here, Mike. It's a great pleasure to have the opportunity to share some of those ideas and those thoughts. And as an entrepreneur myself, I think a lot of people will, feel the pain and understand all the framework we're going to share here.
Yes. And so give us the genesis behind the book. I think this is related to another book that picked up steam pretty fast, and it was a New York Times bestseller. So you saw that success and you said, okay, how do we break it down and make it more simple for the masses, it sounds like. So what made you want to write this book?
So ultimately what happened is that I discovered that I was an conscious capitalist. And I invite a lot of people to think about this, because a lot of people are conscious capitalists and they don't know it yet.
Please
So
explain, because I think I'm an unconscious capitalist, right? I think, because whenever you say unconscious, in my opinion, it's just innate inside of you and you just don't know why. But maybe I am a conscious capitalist because I can see opportunities everywhere. So I don't know. Maybe I'm both. What is it?
That's the point. So what happened is that I was trying to sell one of my services to a business in the US, Whole Foods, and I searched for John Mackey. John Mackey is there. The first thing I find is an article about what is conscious capitalism. So it says companies should have a purpose, a cause, why they do what they do. Say, I don't have a cause, I have a belief. I believe that the collective work will generate better results. People should have under their business a stakeholder map. Well, I have the value chain. Maybe that's a first version of what an ecosystem will look like. People should think about their culture, their business culture. We actually were focused more on our customer culture and helping them evolve and better the business. That's somehow where we failed in our side. And then on the leadership side, you should think like Simon Sinek says, you should have a caring leadership. If you care for your people, then people will care for the business and for the results. So that's automatically, and I look at those four principles, say, I do some of that. Maybe I'm an conscious capitalist. So the more I dove into those ideas, those four principles, I discovered that I was doing it. And sometimes I failed on my decisions because I had no idea how to articulate the other part of the equation. And we just measured on financial metrics. Once we start looking into other metrics, they say, oh my God, there's more powerful. And I can give you some examples where we failed dramatically, because I think we learn a lot about when we fail. And when it happens, automatically we grow and everything is working. So sometimes we don't actually know why we're moving forward on a certain speed. But when we fail and we understand the failure, that will help us be stronger further on. So,
have you ever played the video game Chips Challenge at all?
Oh no, I heard about that.
Yeah, years ago there was this game called Chips Challenge, and basically it's an individual running around a board, and you have to go into these weird areas to pick up keys. But those keys, you go all the way in, you get the key, now you have to walk all the way back to go another place. So I look at that game as sort of a video game version of entrepreneurship. And when you get to a dead end, people will say, wow, that was a failure. But no, technically, you might have experienced some type of strength that came out of you, or you found this resource or a tool or a key to unlock a door down the road. And so when I look at failure and I look at maybe making a mistake, I look at is what did I learn from this? Because I don't know why or how, but I'm going to use this somewhere in the future, whatever I learned here. And that's how you have to look at entrepreneurship. You're going to make a lot of moves, go down a lot of pathways, and they're not the right pathways out of the gate. They're the necessary pathways to teach you what you need to learn to get to the next level in that video game, if you want to look at it that way. So is that how you have experienced the world of entrepreneurship, that a lot of mistakes were actually blessings in disguise?
Well, I think this is the analogy you just brought up is so powerful. And actually, there's a book from Tony Hsieh, uh, Customer
Oh,
Satisfaction.
yes.
The,
He's the shoe
Zappos.
guy, Zappo. He had an
Yes,
unfortunate
yes.
ending recently,
Yeah,
but yes, yeah.
exactly. But on the audiobook, there's a message from Jeff Bezos about the merger or about the acquisition of Zappos by Amazon. He said, if I had one scar for every mistake I made, I would be covered in scars. And he remembered, and that was amazing for me because that actually helps us entrepreneurs to see, everybody makes mistakes, how we learn. Amazon had at the beginning, you could put a negative quantity and you get a credit on your credit card. And the people at the warehouse would be waiting for that good to come back. Can you imagine that mistake? Luckily, they discovered that and fixed that because that could have happened. So,
Woo!
and imagine that's a programming mistake. And you could put a quantity in. What if we put a negative quantity? Oh my God, people were waiting and you could credit their credit card with the
I
amount.
didn't even know
That's
that.
crazy. So that's on the audiobook from Tony Hsieh. So
Wow.
the only way you can listen, that's the voice of Jeff Bezos sharing one of his mistakes and of many, like he said. So mistakes are part of the development. If we don't make mistakes, the one we make, it's going to be so big.
Right.
It will
And so
crash us. So
and you also said the important phrase of you need to learn to serve, right? Capitalism to me is equal opportunity, but in order for you
yes.
to obtain any resource, you actually have
Mhm.
to make someone else's life better, whether it's
Oh,
through product or a service.
now you touch the first key principle. That's the purpose, why your business exists. A lot of people think they identify an economic opportunity to do something. But behind that opportunity lies the idea that you think you can do something better. Because if you do the same thing or if you do something worse, it's not going to fly. It's not going to stick. You're not going to gain market because you believe you can do it better. You make more money. You
Mm-hmm.
make the money, you grow, you expand, you establish yourself. Behind that idea of making something better lies the idea of a purpose. What's your cause? Why are you doing what you do? Because making something bigger is easy. You set the target and you get into debt, you do all kinds of things to reach that number. But being better, that's a metric from the other side of the table. Are your customers, your suppliers, your employees, your community are actually measuring if you're better or not? So that's an important message. Everybody starts with the idea, and if they are successful, that idea sometimes fades out because you get so involved with a lot of bureaucracy. Ultimately, behind that, if we recover that idea, that emotional connection with your startup, that makes you stronger identifying your cause. So you just touched the most important part of if you're leading a business, you have a purpose. You just
Yes.
have to recover it, bring it back to life, because when you started and you're successful, you started because you thought you could do something better.
Well, competition is a part of capitalism, right? And so by looking around the marketplace and saying, you know what, they're doing it pretty good, right? But I can do it a little bit better. It allows you to be more resourceful, right? Tony Robbins has that great quote. It's not a matter of resources, it's a matter of resourcefulness. So you might think from a different, through a different lens. And therefore, you can maybe operate at a higher frequency, serve them at a higher level. Therefore, if it's a big company that gets comfortable, you as a smaller company can beat them with a competitive drive, a certain culture, right? And a certain philosophy that you could do it better, faster, cheaper, and therefore
Mm.
this competitive advantage. If it's inside of you, it never dies, right? That competitive nature is a part of the game. And I think if you lean in on it, it serves you very well. So a lot of people look at capitalism in negative light simply because they don't have that competitive gene. And I think that's it.
I truly agree. And, going back to what you said, competition is part of the business. Competition makes you stronger, makes you better. And there's a conversation between John Mackey, the CEO and founder of Whole Foods, and Doug Rao, the former CEO of Trader Joe's. One used to say to the other, Whole Foods makes us better, and Trader Joe's said, Whole Foods said it vice versa. So they understood they have different models, but each one made the other one better in terms of how they went to market. So if you don't have competition, you lose reference. It's easier to fail when you have no reference in the marketplace.
Great point. And I don't know if you're a wrestling fan at all, but it makes me think of WWF turning into WWE. They had no competition technically for about 15, 20 years. And they started to, fall away from the fans started to go away from them. And so then AEW comes into play, and you notice that WWE picks up their quality again, a little bit more proactive whenever it comes to storylines and entertainment value. Meaning that if you have competition, it brings out the best in you. And it's because maybe we're all based off of gravity. And so if we don't have to fight as hard, or if we don't have to keep pursuing, it's natural for us to decline, because there's a requirement when another person is behind us running. If we're running a marathon, you run a little faster when somebody's behind you, right? So that's just human nature 101.
It is. It is. And see, I love it. This conversation is going straight into the essence or the nature of what capitalism is, right? Because we talk about purpose. You have clear that if you're trying to do something better, you have a cause, you have a purpose. Now, the second thing, if you're starting a business, you have to recognize the interdependence of the system, because your first customer, your first client is the first one to trust you. Your employee, they have to trust you to join forces with you, to work with you towards a goal, your idea, your purpose. The suppliers will trust you. So your success depends on the success of your ecosystem beyond the value chain. If the community surrounding you doesn't want you there, you have a problem. If they want you there, you're going to be welcome. Your brand is going to be welcome. Employees want to work for you. Customers want to buy your brand, want to be part of you. You create a community. And that leads us to the next level of connection, which is the culture, a responsible culture. Can you imagine if your product, your brand, your company is so powerful that you create a tribe that people will tattoo themselves with the brand, to a point that your prospects would have your tattoo even before they have the product?
Yep, that's true loyalty, but there's such energy. And I'm glad you bring up the example of a tattoo, because there are many companies that have done that. In fact, I did it early on. If you got a tattoo of my phrase on your body, I would give you a discount on our prices. And people did it. And the reason why is, if you have that much belief in your ability to serve people, people will see that enthusiasm and the story that you share with the world of the problem that you're solving and why you solve it. People buy in, and now you have, like you said, you have the magic word is a tribe, and a tribe is a group of people who believe in the same goal that you paint.
So think about a company that has that so powerful. I was in Milwaukee once, and over the weekend they say, "Oh, there's going to be a rally here." Say, "What do you mean?" And people are just putting chairs on the street, on the sidewalk. They're like little cooler and sitting there and say, "What's going to happen? What's going to?" 40,000 motorcycles came to Milwaukee. 40,000. 40,000 tattooed people. So, and then I went to visit the plant, Harley Davidson. I said, wow, all the employees were tattooed. I saw the suppliers coming in. Oh, those are employees? No, those are suppliers. They have Harley Davidson tattoo. You go to a store, the store manager, the store people, the salespeople, even the people coming in to buy the bike, they already
Harley
have
Davidson.
the tattoo, right? Isn't that a tribe? If you think about people, that's a tribe. They dress alike, they behave alike, they move alike, they gather to, everything. What's the power? A brand that went up and down in terms of quality challenges, but people follow them all the way. If you have the ability to have a great purpose, and if you think about Harley, what's their purpose? Freedom.
Freedom.
Don't you think about the guy driving that bike and on that Highway 69 and going that represents freedom. And it's a universal feeling, emotion. People want to feel that. So if you have a universal purpose and a universal intention, and your product goes there, people will follow you. People want to be part of that tribe.
That's right. And so when you think of a Harley Davidson, you think of American ingenuity, right? It was
Yeah.
back in, I think, World War I or World War II. World War I
Yes.
think, is whenever they got their start. But
Yeah.
it's two guys in a garage, right? And
Yep.
so it's that capitalistic American dream, but also American made. And then, like you said, the sense of freedom. There are gang members who will never touch another motorcycle. It has to be a Harley Davidson. Now, think about the loyalty people have simply because it represents maybe a piece of their soul. It's wild.
Exactly. And you will never see somebody with a Nokia tattoo because that was my first cell phone. It saved my life. Can you imagine that?
You're right.
Isn't
It's
that
not going
perfect?
to
That's
work.
no, no, forget it. It doesn't work. So here we are talking about capitalism, the power of the ingenuity, the opportunity for people to serve other with their own talents expressed through a business. And if we step back like a couple of 100 years, the only people in the world with social value for a community were those with a last name. Think about this, because they have a talent that served their community. Shoemaker, Smith, Baker, those were the first last names because that person had a social value to offer.
Wow.
If you had nothing, let's say Thomas, who's Thomas? I don't know, that guy. You don't deserve a last name because you are no value for us.
Is that how last names were made?
Maybe, I don't know,
Oh,
but
okay.
that would be amazing because only if you think about the nobles, the kings, and the queens, they had like 20, 30 last names to prove where they came from. But regular people, oh, maybe you had a last name that's Thomas from Milwaukee or Mike from New York or, where you came from. But other than that, what are the last names?
Wow.
Isn't that powerful? Maybe that comes because you have that talent and people recognize that talent on you and say, wow, Mike Smith, if I need some work, there you go.
Well, it's the identity that's created as an
Yes.
entrepreneur. I mean, that's why everything that I put out there is Bookman related, right? Million
Yeah.
Dollar Bookman. He's the Bookman, right? And so they don't need to really know my last name, but they just got to say, oh, if you need a book, you need anything with a book, go to him. And an identity is created based off of, are you ready for this? It's what you serve, it's what you are known to
Yeah.
provide for others, right? And so Jim Rohn has that amazing quote: never bring the market your need, because nobody cares about that. Bring the market your seed, right? What can you offer the world? And what's cool about this is that your identity is formed off of how you help others.
Yeah, totally. Totally. And goes back. That's the essence of capitalism. That's the essence, that's the purpose. And if you have that written down and if you update that message over time, because the social and economic environment changes around you after 10, 20, 30 years, you keep evolving your intention. Think about Google. When they started, Google had no page. They created an app to enter in Yahoo, Alta Vista, AOL, but nobody wanted to buy that. And they say, you know, printed information is organized in the library to those drawers and those little cards and IDs and where in which shelf you pick the book, but the digital information was nowhere organized. And they say, you know what, we can organize that. So their purpose was to organize the digital information. And then nobody wanted to buy their service. They say, well, we have to open the page. We have to create a page to offer that service that to the world. So organize the digital information of the world and make it universally accessible. Google page, search page. And that keeps going. So if you think about that purpose, and that's a fast-moving company, technology, so the purpose has to be adjusted, updated more frequently. Okay, so this is absolutely amazing because then they said, oh, books that are out of print, let's scan them. And the words we haven't been able to identify through our OCR, our systems, we're going to put on the reCAPTCHA. Now, our eyes are indexing the words that the system didn't couldn't index. So we are part of a bigger plan, a master plan, to make that information universally available, accessible for everyone. So it's insane how powerful. If you have purpose clear on your business, you're not going to divert, because purpose is an idea that should help you make decision. Is this decision advancing our intention, our purpose, or is it moving left or right or different route? And that will keep you on track to be even more successful, because we have to go back and talk about how much money you're going to make if you're conscious about those principles, right?
Yeah. Well, a leader, in my opinion, and maybe you can kind of clarify how this all flows, but a leader's job is to paint the vision, paint the promised land, and then attract the tribe, right? And then give the individuals the resources to accomplish that vision, right? And then get out of their way. So a leader's not there to maybe, I don't know, I guess be a part of every battle, but to give the tribe its resources and belief and the vision of what the battle is, right? So once you have the vision, which we talked about before, the why, you have the tribe. What else do you need? So you also have, I think, the leadership, I guess, of individuals relying on the leader to be there when necessary. So tell me about part 4.
So that's perfect leadership. And the vision is the most important part. A lot of companies have the vision to be the number one. That's not an inclusive vision. If I'm number one, you're going to be number two. I'm sorry. Number 3 or 4, you pick another number. Number 1, it's me. The vision has to be universal, has to be a place where I'm going to go with you. I'm going to follow you there. When you think about Google, organize information. Every day you have more information. That's a never-ending purpose. To make it universally accessible, I want to be at that place where everybody has equal opportunity to access information. It's not exclusive for one group or the other, high expensive investors and consultants. No, everybody should have access. This is a universal right. So they're taking us to a place where we all agree. No, information should be limited. I have most of the information, you have to pay me. And they're saying, no, we need to take this to a next level. Humanity can go further. So vision has to be inclusive. From the purpose, once you know your cause, imagine if that cause is done, completed, how would the world look like? And that's the message we have to think. Because if that's the world I want to be part of, that's where I want to go. Remember, there was a cartoon in the 70s. Maybe you don't remember that. The Jetsons, they were all flying everywhere. Those little machines. And during pandemic, that was my vision for the future. We had doctors over TV, FaceTime, working from home, all that creativity, that vision for the future happened during pandemic. Everybody started working from home, visiting the doctor through, FaceTime, machines cleaning your house, those little robots moving around to clean the floor. So all that stuff started happening and say, oh my God, that's a vision. And science fiction has the ability to create amazing visions, and we make them happen because we insist on science fiction. But we forget about doing social fiction. How do we want people to live? What's the social status in the future that people say, I want to follow you because I want to live in a place where people are treated this way, people can live this way. So vision is such an important part of leadership, because that's such an important principle. That's the caring leadership. You have to serve a purpose and you have to care for the people that will follow you towards that vision.
You've obviously analyzed some of the great leaders out there, and whether you like them or hate them, I mean, Jeff Bezos is a great leader. I mean, for him to actually manage what he built is just insane. So, what makes a great leader in your opinion? My opinion is that your ability to communicate and articulate your solution very clearly is one. Number 2, you have to be inspiring and motivating, simply because you are maybe the example of something that they want in their own life, right? That you have something that other people maybe look up to and they respect. So those are 2 aspects of it. And maybe a third aspect is that you have enough credibility and authority in the space that you are an expert. Therefore, individuals look at you as the go-to source for answers. And so these breadcrumbs need to be left behind. So those are the three that stand out to me. What would you say?
Well, I can't agree more, because ultimately, if you look, let's pick Jeff Bezos. He has a practice. And I think the example the leader brings is, if you live your culture, your values, people will follow that. If the only thing you look at are numbers, people will just look at numbers. They don't care about the rest. So, but Jeff Bezos has something so interesting in terms of his values. And if you look, there's a a story that every meeting room has a red chair, and that's not the chair for Jeff. Every time people come to a meeting and have a discussion, make a decision, they look at that red chair and they ask a simple question: is this decision going to improve our customer experience? If it's yes, we go forward. If there's some slight doubt in that answer, we have to go back, reconvene, and make sure that that decision will make our customer better.
Wow.
That experience. So that's a practice that has been heard from Amazon people for a very long time. And if you think about this, that if you think about Amazon, they want to get you the best customer experience. Because let's go to a supermarket. What's the worst part of a supermarket? Also, when you forget something that your wife asked you to buy and you say, oh my God, I forgot that stuff. Or you buy something that you're not supposed to buy. It's waiting in line to pay it to get out of the supermarket. What did he do? A store that you go in and get out and you have to wait in line. How do you don't gonna go, everything you have, it's online. If you're going to brick and mortar stores, it has to be better than what you have there. Otherwise, you just don't go, right?
Right. Well,
That's
I mean,
why
I'm thinking about whenever I actually buy from Amazon, it's so intuitive, number one, but number two, it's so easy for me to just search, buy, move on, and then what they've done is just it's completely shocking to me. They'll say it's going to be delivered in 2 days, and then it'll arrive in one, which is that over deliver, under promise philosophy.
Yeah.
So the customer experience is great on the front end, but also the operation on the back end is even smoother. So yes, they do the right stuff. Take what they're doing and apply it to your business.
Exactly. And ultimately, we're talking about capitalism, how to create value. And one of the things we are now discussing more and more is the value creation, because we talked about ecosystem, interdependence, is we need to create value to all stakeholders. But the value is not economic value. We can create emotional value, social value, environmental value, technology value, knowledge value. We have the ability to create more value in multiple dimensions. And one of the things we talk about when people say, wow, how do I put this stuff in action? How do I make conscious capitalism work in my company? So think about 200 years ago, people had enough time available and some people had enough money. So I said, Mike, I give you some amount of money. Can you come in and give me some of your time? So today we call this is a salary in exchange for a work shift, right? A time you dedicated to me in compensation for money. But that was when we had a lot of people available. Now companies start looking and say, I want talent. So I have a talent. So what do you offer? We exchange, that's the basic exchange, time for money. But now we have a talent that the company wants to hire the best people. But what is the company offering in exchange for that talent? Oh, I give you training. Perfect. Oh, guess what? The company says, oh, I give you opportunity to grow. Okay. What is that person going to offer? I offer you commitment. So the level of exchange, and this is expanding capitalism from the financial level to multi-level exchange. And it's still capitalism, or it's still whatever we want to call it. But once we understand that our exchange here goes beyond just my time and your time, goes beyond a basic exchange, because we don't even talk about money here. We are talking about exchanging experience, exchanging stories, exchanging impact, taking the story further out. So that's a completely different exchange. And that was created by capitalism, because I think we both think that about each other, we can create value to our communities. And we get together to do that. So that's the amazing part of capitalism. It has allowed us to evolve the exchange level of value beyond the financial exchange for time, product, or service.
Yeah, and it's basically it's perfectly in alignment with work now, get paid later. But the great philosophy of Jim Rohn, where do more than what you're paid for, and soon you will be paid for more than what you do. And it's funny how that works out because, like you said, if you're waiting the whole time for you to make more money, oh, I'm only gonna do more work if I get paid more money. No, it's actually the converse of that, where if you start to do more work, individuals will see your commitment, you see your craft, see your expertise, and then the money rises up. And then there's some type of boiling point where it starts to go supersede it, right? And it goes above and beyond the actual effort that you're putting in. And
Mhm.
that's the magic of capitalism. So, oh,
Yeah.
so good. I do want to get to how can an individual listening or watching right now become more conscious? Great
Well,
way of looking at this.
I think the first thing is the more we learn, we have the opportunity to expand consciousness. So if I learn something new, I have a new perspective. I have an expanded perspective. So this is the first thing. So what we're doing here is giving people the opportunity to become more conscious about learning and understanding different perspectives and listening to the ideas we have to share. So this is the first step. If you want to dive deeper, well, there's a book we had that's published by Harvard. It's Conscious Capitalism Field Guide. It's a big, heavy book because we actually give directions how to implement those 4 principles in your business. And this really allows you to dive in to executing this in your business, in your company. Other than that, we have a certification program for consultants. We have 1,200 consultants in 23 countries that have gone through this program and have been certified to help companies, organizations to upgrade their business. I like to upgrade. Very few people like to change. Go to an airline
I like
check-in.
that phrase. Yeah. Let's upgrade your business. Yeah.
Yes, let's upgrade your business, because if you go to check in and the lady or the guy, the person on the check-in says, "Oh, Mike, I have a news for you. Your flight changed." Say, "I don't want to hear." But if they say, "I have news for you, Mike. Your flight has been upgraded." First, you're going to laugh because that's, it's not going to happen. But you're open to listen.
Oh,
Tell me what the upgrade is. The upgrade is you're going to sleep here in this hotel, have a nice meal and a breakfast, and then you fly tomorrow. What do you think about this? Maybe, well, I can take that. I like that upgrade. Maybe not. But I'm open to listen. The words we use directly affect the listeners. So we have to be careful, because if you want your message to get there, pick the right words. It's your responsibility as the one communicating to make your message land.
oh, that is an amazing piece of advice, guys. Listen to what he just said. So, when it comes to adjustments and pivots, how you say something is actually way more important than what you say, right? And maybe there are problems that you have to address, but an upgrade, once again, you're more receptive. All you're trying to do is make an agreement between two parties, get to the same goal, and that can be done through language. Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So,
Language. And this is conscious communication. You have to be aware of the level of consciousness of your audience. Who are you selling it to? Don't come with very difficult, complex corporate words. Go down to earth so that people understand your message. That's will make a strong connection. That brings a tribe together. That allows us to celebrate results.
mm, self-awareness, I think, is an absolute superpower. So if you know yourself, then you can possibly know your customer way more. And so if you know what sets you off, gets you excited, then that's the verbiage.
Yeah.
That's the energy that you need to put out, because if it excites you or if it pisses you off, you know what to do or what to avoid. And I
Yeah.
guess that's that's part of becoming more conscious and within your business, right? And becoming a more conscious leader.
Exactly. Exactly. Because that will allow you to get your message through. As a leader, you want everyone in your organization and in your ecosystem, suppliers, customers, community, families, everyone to understand what you are all about. If they get it, they will come to promote you, to defend you, to elevate you.
And what's funny about this is that you are a satellite. You usually attract more like-minded people. So these individuals who you attract are also satellites and they're examples, and they are going to attract a tribe eventually, most likely migrating towards your mission too. So
Yeah.
once you treat your tribe well, they will treat their tribe well, and it
Yeah.
becomes this massive army. Oh, it's a great way to look at it.
So
Good.
here's the big thing. People might say, listen, oh, that's so nice. You guys are talking about something so cool. But at the end of the day, capitalism is about making money, right? So what we have shown in this book is we are following some companies that we understand they followed those principles for quite a while. And over the tenure of 20 years, we compared their financial performance with S&P 500. And imagine if your result 20 years from now could be 7 times better than the average S&P 500, where would you be? How much would you invest today to say, that's where I want to be? Because these companies, what they do, they create value in the social aspect and environmental aspect and emotional aspect and knowledge and all so many different dimensions. And when a crisis comes, people just retract. But when it's over, people will buy from you first when they can. Suppliers will come to you with the ideas first because you took care of them. Community will come in your defense if they have to come to defend somebody here. So this is the value creation of non-financial value creation converts into strong financial value after crisis, because the crises are the moment of truth for those organizations. If you really care for your ecosystem, you will figure that out and you come out stronger, because everybody will come out with you and not with your competition or with alternatives. So that's an invitation. If you think you want to make more money, this is a path to start today.
Wow. And so whenever there's crisis around you, you actually go in when other people are going out. And you just gave me this picture of, do you remember in the movie Forrest Gump when all the other boats are, out of commission, and you have Forrest Gump out on his Jenny reaping all of the rewards? So whenever there's a storm, rather than contract, you actually adopt the abundance mindset even more so, and you go all in. Therefore, when the storm passes, people will see you as the solid force, and therefore they believe in you more.
Exactly. That's such a great picture for this to converge this conversation.
Wow. Now you have 23 books. I want to talk about this because I just love talking to serial authors. What has writing done for you? The reason why I ask that is because the more I write, the more clear-minded I become, which means I become more self-aware. And so writing is a way, it's almost like a personal development journey for me. And I take all of this skill set that I acquire from this becoming self-aware, and then I apply it to business, which means personal development journey is actually embedded in my business journey. So, what has writing done for you?
So, writing came as a business strategy because we started, at the beginning of the century, we had that mad cow disease going on in England. They killed all the cattle, and people wanted to know, where is that food product coming from? So we created the Food Traceability Company. And what the hell is a food traceability company? So everybody started asking, how do you sell that? Say, you know what? I'm going to put some structure on this. I'm going to write a book. It was 100 pages book, a small book, but it gave us authority to talk about the subject when people wanted to know, and we were invited to a lot of conferences. Ultimately, what happened with that writing, people start, oh, tell me more. How do I get to operate on this? How do I make this happen? So with that experience, I started writing more and more books, and then I started online dispute resolution system, a platform that helped us get companies out of the court system. Instead of going to court, you resolve your problems in a different way, much more agile, much faster, much cheaper. And ultimately, I discovered that I was an unconscious conscious capitalist, and I moved towards this and start preaching this philosophy to help companies be prepared for the business on the 21st century. Because all that stuff, what happened is that writing the books allowed me to structure my thinking and expand my learning and interact with people, getting some feedback and keep expanding it, because people start asking tougher questions. Because of the toughest questions, we evolved. We wrote 4 patents. We got 12 awards on innovation, sustainability, business of the year, and all that stuff, because people recognized us as a thought leader, a thought company. So we were at the edge of the innovation. So that was very powerful. And when you go back and see that all that what you were doing was part of a system, a framework, where people are the center of the business. If people are served, people are cared for, they will care for the result of your business. And you basically go beyond, far beyond the average market performance.
Mm. And I'm assuming you came across the same realization that the more you teach, you actually learn at a higher level too, which means everything that you learn, every event that you go to, every thing you find on the internet, and you study within a great leader, it's your moral obligation to share with the others. So you become more of a valuable asset in your community based off of you teaching and writing about it. Is that right?
Completely agree, because the teaching gives you the opportunity to be questioned from different perspectives, and that makes you think and develop the next content and the next information, the next strategy. It just keeps evolving. And one of the things a lot of, and this is again for the founders, don't be afraid people will copy you. If you're original, you are the source of your own creativity, of your own business. People who copy and follow you, they are waiting for your next step. They don't have the ability to move ahead. So if you think about the big companies, has anybody had the ability to move ahead of Google, ahead of Amazon, ahead of Apple? Because they are the creators of whatever they are creating. If you have that inside you, inside your business. But on the other hand, if some companies, they fire their source of innovation, their source of creation, they go to a very rough time until they rediscover themselves. So that's an invitation to think. You are the source. Nobody will pass you, because you are creating and people are following. The moment you stop creating or you don't create anymore, you're going to lag behind.
Right. There's a great quote out there about motorcycles. You don't stop riding when you get old. You get old when you stop riding. And I look at that when it comes to teaching and writing books. It's the same way, that the moment you stop serving or elevating your game, you start to die inside, and people notice it, and you start to lose that momentum. And you bring up a very good point. I want to make sure this gets in there, that the more you teach, the more you're questioned, and therefore you can formulate your answers more, because your answers are based off of the quality of the questions. So you want to put yourself in certain environments to be asked many questions. This gives you an advantage, because then you start to have an understanding of the world, economics, yourself, business more, because you're out there as a thought leader. So boost your influence, boost your personal brand, get invited to opportunities, and welcome adversity and questions, because that will make you a better leader. Oh, very good. Excellent. Keep writing, basically, right? Write more books.
Exactly. Keep writing. Keep putting your thoughts into books, because that world needs information. The world needs development, knowledge. And the only way to move forward is actually to share that on books, on publications, and on conversations, and on talks, on conferences. That's the only way we move forward. If we had no conference, no books, we were standing still 200, 300 years ago.
That's right. You want to become a source, a hub of information, a wealth of knowledge, if you will. And those people who are a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of connections usually find themselves in the right room. So love talking to people like you, sir. And guys, check out his book. It's called Conscious Capitalism Field Guide and Tools for Transforming Your Organization. I believe you have a website that people can go to, right? There's
Yes.
one that you recommend. Therefore, they can get in touch with you or even check out these courses that you offer. Is that right?
Yes, you can go to one thing that we believe is the conscious business journey. Consciousness for the business is a journey. You never get there. So cbjourney.com or ccfieldguide.com. Those are the two websites. You can go there and get in touch with us. And that's the path to upgrading leadership and your businesses.
Yep. And guys, the website again is cbjourney.com. You can find them on LinkedIn. And I think it's pretty easy to find you on LinkedIn. I know I found you there. So,
Yes.
guys, look them up. Thomas Eckschmidt. I appreciate your time, man. This is awesome. I hope you come back whenever you put out another book. All right.
I will. And, there's another one coming. So maybe we can talk about that and helping the companies to recover, to upgrade their purpose.
Man, I'm going to use that now going forward. That upgrade trick, by the way.
Yes.
Man, what a takeaway. Thank you so much. Remember, guys, $1 million book will lead to $1 million life.